So here's what I propose. Take away all the labels. Take away the words fourth way, move Gurdjieff out of the way, so that we are dealing with the essential. The essential is what you are applying and living organically from these ideas. So these ideas don't belong to Mr. Gurdjieff to a point in time. They are perennial truth, teachings, knowledge, gnosis that those who come across, like us, discover are nuclear power, potent in revealing us to ourselves, in enabling us to shift the axis of our consciousness and authentically awaken to a greater awareness, to a more objective perspective on ourselves and on life, to pull out of our narrow, limited subjectivity and lead us into connection with the greater life. Call it spiritual, call it transpersonal, call it anything you want. What it is a real, powerful methodology of which we find echoes in various fields because it is truth. So, what makes people fear that there is a cult element or a us against them element or a private elitist club element is only when it is locked into a form, a shape, such as the Gurdjieff Foundation, who do exactly what Gurdjieff told them not to do. Take the messenger for the message. And so Gurdjieff said to his students in 1930s, 40s, when he had finally written his entire 1,500-page, virtually psychedelic volume, Bells Above Stairs, to his grandson, in a marvelous, jovial, hilarious, cosmic way, that they have to read it 3 times. And he would make his poor intellectuals sit there, crammed together in his apartment in Paris, spend 3 hours in silence listening while he watched them and probably smirked. Is anybody going to think for themselves? And so what happens? He literally said somewhere he was always looking for the resistance. And they all just laid themselves down at his feet because he was such a charismatic powerhouse. But he wanted the real thing, and he was trying to give us the real thing. And what happens? What is it, 75 years later? They're doing exactly that. They're reading Bells Above Stairs to his grandson, to each other, to themselves. That's right. Instead of waking up, observing themselves, pulling out of negativity, seeing the toxicity of it, not identifying and being in a hypnotic state towards stimulus response, not being victims of their mechanical reactivity, which is the work. So wonderfully expressed by Maurice Nicole. Thank heavens for him, because Ouspensky was such an intellectual that it was lost in diagrams and complicated, convoluted things of no real significance, except for intellectuals who are imbalanced in their nature, when Gurdjieff's point was we need to become more balanced, and can't get enough of these convoluted ideas of creation and hydrogens and etc. When it comes right down to what you are practicing, what we speak about, which is how do I get out of ego? How do I stop being petty? How do I discover compassion, mercy, unconditional love, non-judgment. All of these are now accessible through these teachings, these methodologies that originate, or certainly are found at the heart of ancient Christianity, which means what? In the context of Yeshua, who is agape love. And quite possibly even more ancient, Lao Tzu reveals something, but nobody had the specificity of Jesus of Nazareth in calling us to awaken. Ultimately, not my will, but thy will. What does that mean? Transcending oneself, self-sacrificial love. Love of the higher, of the good, of the beautiful, which we find in Greek philosophy on some level, but not to the intensity of that extraordinary witness of lovers of God who love humanity and enter the joy of the Master, Rumi. So all of these magnificent examples of real spiritual living are rooted in this purification that we do through self-awareness, through use of attention, through enabling our will to make efforts that it wouldn't ordinarily make to come out of captivity. That's what this is. And you can label it something, put a title on it, categorize it, put it in a drawer somewhere, whatever. It is a living thing. And it doesn't belong to a group, a cult, a religion. It is a gift to humanity for reaching our true potential, for becoming who we were meant to be, for finding our authentic self and maturing in the most expansive way to be blessings in this world, to truly make contact with what is greater than us, to rise out of the basement of ourselves, the heavy energies, the confusion that society, our environment, the mistakes of others have done to us, that we may breathe a refined air in which spirit is encountered. So what is the purpose? What is the aim? What is the result? Where are we going with these ideas? Okay. We discover these radical, fundamental perspectives in these teachings, that human beings are living in a state of waking sleep, half hypnotized, half in a dream state of living in their own imagination and their worries and their many thoughts instead of being present. So this is about becoming present to our existence. We hear that human beings are not one. Even if there's just one of us in the mirror, our psyche is fragmented, full of contradictions, of which we are completely unaware most of the time. And so to seek to unify and become that one consistent persona that is a dependable being, that the next morning is not full of anger and that afternoon is happy and then this and that, but one that is consistently the best of themselves, beyond the multiplicity caused by random reactivity and passing moods, is foreign to mainstream society, because the assumption is that we are already unified, we are already conscious. So from the very beginning, these ideas are telling us something radical that we can and must verify for ourselves, right? Gurdjieff says, verify everything for yourself. And boy, can we verify it. However, the ego may not want to verify it. And many people will resist this because it is a demand for brutal honesty with oneself, for shattering our illusions about ourselves. And only those who are really hungry for truth, real meaning, real becoming, something greater than ourselves, whatever that might be named, who are willing to put pride and ego aside, self-importance, in other words, become humble enough, can have access to what these and other teachings reveal. And our culture designs us to not be those kinds of people, to be defensive, to be in competition with others, to have to hold on out of insecurity to an ego, rather than let it go and discover our essential being. These teachings are found in Eckhart Tolle and so many others that are respected people. Eckhart Tolle himself, in The Power of Now, for instance, which is very popular, took many of these ideas straight from Gurdjieff. He uses those words, identification, etc. So it doesn't matter where it comes from, it's just that truth is truth, and you will find it. You will resonate to it, you will find it in so many different ways. Khalil Gibran speaks of this in The Prophet, for heaven's sakes. But this approach gives us tools, not platitudes, not theologies, not philosophies, but ways in which we can actually access what somewhere in us we have tasted before. When we reach a higher state of consciousness, by pulling away internally from all the noise and being present to the moment, we taste something we've known before in different moments of life, moments of great joy, moments of great peace, on top of a mountain, on vacation, away from the noise, from the madding crowd, as the saying goes. And what these teachings offer us are ways to have them more frequently, more longer periods of time, and eventually become integrated as part of our daily reality, rather than the rare moment that was beautiful and now it's gone. And now we're back to the normal, old patterns and familiar ways. And now we know that these efforts of self-observation, watch of the heart, these efforts of non-identifying create neuroplasticity. We can rewire our patterns and really become holistic, healed people, not stuck in whatever neuroses life has created in us. And that fundamental liberation and authenticity gives us access to a quality of consciousness that makes us people of peace, people of joy, people of love, because we are mindful of that vaster wisdom that we now have access to, that we are living, embodying, by having come out of the subterranean prison hole, oubliette they call him, in the days of Louis XI in France, where they put the prisoner in some forgotten hole in the bottom of the castle, and he's left there and forgotten. Those depths of darkness that we live in our subjectivity, in our lack of care for others, in our constant self-interest or survival needs. To come out of that, to rise up to the light, is to mature and expand and find fullness of living, which is our birthright. So it's not some weird mystic thing. It's what is available to us if we have some understanding of how to live with a purer relationship to things, how to free ourselves from that which was generated in infancy, the narcissism of early life, me. So this is where we're headed, to something that belongs to us, that society suggests we shouldn't be interested in because we have to pay taxes and take care of ourselves and our responsibilities. But Antoine de Saint-Exupéry in Le Petit Prince speaks of these things, that childlike wonder, that freedom that the adult world has lost. We can recover that within ourselves and rise to the fullness of our potential as human beings. That's what this work, this inner work, offers us.